Welcome to jobskillshare.org. In this video, my audience will be two different areas. One is the members that are going to purchase a server from our portal by clicking on the server and then reserving the server. And in this server, we are going to give the esxi access for 30 days. And the second audience will be people who are interested in knowing how to create a domain controller environment in this access, and then how to use 2019, or maybe they just want to watch how to create a domain controller in the VMware esxi 6.7. So this is 6.7 and the server that I'm using is 2019. It is probably not even in the production anywhere. They just released the ISO for people to check out. I'm not sure if this is going to be out there, but it's a new thing. Why not give it a try in the lab? So in the lab, you will get access to our environment like this from your web address, and then you will already have 4 machines installed for you. These are not fully done. This is only the initial setup is done for you, but the rest you have to do everything yourself. And basically, if people are saying, okay, how am I going to get access to this stuff? You have to be a member in our site to get access to this, but you can have your own VMware esxi installed on your own hardware, and if it has that ability, has that kind of RAM and CPUs and storage, then you should be able to do the same thing that I'm doing. First thing you do need to, when you install it, you need to go to the IP address, log in with the root account that you have created, and then you will see nothing basically, and then you can go to your Microsoft site. You're going to go to Microsoft site, type 2019 server, evaluation version, and then you will download the ISO. Once you download that to your computer and you log into this environment, then you will basically go to browse data store, and here you will click on upload, and then from your computer you're going to upload that ISO. Then that's where I already did that. It's a 4 GB file. It may take time depending on your computer speed. It may take a lot of time if it's a slow network, hours and hours and hours. If it's a fast network, then it should be good. So once you do that, then you're going to go into your virtual machine and you will create a virtual machine right here. And then we will click on next. And here I'm just going to call it server 2019-3. I'm not going to fully do this because I already done that. But I'm going to show you what you can do at home if you're not using these labs, or if you're using these labs and you want an extra one. So here you're going to click on Windows, and then in 6.7, it's, even though it's a new esxi, they don't have 2019. You just have to click 2016 and click next, and here click next again, and I'm gonna go back one more. It was too quick. So here, make sure that if you want to change that, you can change that to something like, let's say 60. That's up to you, but 40 is enough. And another thing is that you want to make sure that it's thin provision. So if next time if you come back and there's an issue with your size, you can change it. But if you do these two, then you're going to have issues. I'd rather keep thin just to keep things easy, Now to get to that ISO, you need to click on the CD data store ISO, and here you will click that ISO that you have downloaded from internet. You'll click on select. It's selected now. I'm going to just make sure one more time it's selected, and I'm going to click on next, and then I will click on finish. And now it's right there. I'm going to click on the same one that I just created. Then I'm going to click on power on, and I'm going to go to console, turn it on quickly, and you can see the boot any key that you see that it's very fast. Like I said, this lab is designed very fast for our members, so you're going to see performance very good performance in these labs. So when you see that boot any key, you're going to click on hit the enter key, and you will see that your server will start spinning. Now from here on, you will see basic installation for the server. We have already done that in other virtual machines that you get, but I'm going to quickly show you how to install. You just click on install now, accept the agreement, and install now. And after that, you will see the space that you have allocated for the server. Then you will be able to pick that for this server. Here, I'm going to click on data store desktop experience and click next. Once you click on next, then you will basically see the agreement again. And then you click on next, and here you're going to click on the custom, the second option, and then you'll click on just next, And now what happens after this, your server installation will start. This is probably going to take you 3 to 4 minutes, because again, like I said, it's a fast environment. If you do this on a normal hard disk, you're going to probably see a much delayed in the installation. But once this starts, you can actually compare your installation. If you have a slow hard drive versus this one, you will see this 1% will not be moving this fast. It's going to be 1, and then it's going to take some time, and then 2. And right now, this should take you only 3 to 4 minutes, and then your server installation is done. So now I'm going to actually power off this because I don't need this. This is how easily you can do things in virtualization. I just blow off the whole server like that. You don't do that in a real environment, of course. I'm going to just delete that. So in your lab, we have already given you the ready to go server. So of course you can come and change everything in here, but it's ready to go. When you open this, you're going to have all that with you. So this is when the server is installed. The next step is that to configure the server for a domain environment. So the first thing I'm going to do is to change my name to DC, because I want to make sure that I know which one I'm doing domain controller. I'm just going to name that to DC. And now I'm going to go in, and like I said, we have done the installation. So when you finish, like I showed you the other one, when the whole installation is finished, this is the first screen that you see. In your lab, we have done that. So you're going to click next here, and then you're going to click accept, and then you will give it a password. So once you give it a password, then you will basically log into the server. When you do the all control delete, you need to click on the guest OS, send keys, and do all control delete. There are other ways you can do it, but I'm just showing you the easy ways that are available already. And now I am inside this server. Like I said, it's a pretty good environment for you to do practice and learn things. This is not a server administration course, the one that we are giving you this lab for. It's more for a help desk technician, but still you need domain environment to do all of the things that we are going to show you. So here you're going to get an IP address with internet access, and then the first thing what we will do is to change some of the settings for lab environment. We will turn off some of the security. Now you don't do this in a real world environment, but the problem with the real world environment is that they already have set up everything for you, so you're not going to get a chance to see these things, or you can ask your engineers and tell them what are you using for all this stuff, because you really don't work inside one machine to do the security. They have better security, so let's not get into that for now. But for now, let's keep things simple. Turn off the firewall. In the 2019 server, I'm going to turn off, as you can see, the one that we are going to give you, the one that you see right here, it's going to already have firewall turned off and RDP enabled. If you do it yourself, you do the installation, you need to come back here, do the firewall, and then you need to turn it off. And then you need to go to settings, systems, and in the systems you scroll down and click on remote desktop, and you can see we already turned it on for you. But in your environment, you need to turn it on, okay? Again, in the labs environment, please make sure you talk about the security to your security admins and stuff like that. But in the lab environment, we don't care about this stuff. This is going to get deleted anyways. So now it's time that we should give this server a name, because if you do the DC here, that doesn't change your virtual machine name. You're going to click on system, and here you'll see the name right here is something win blah blah blah. You're going to change this to something easy. I'm going to call it DC. I'm going to click next and restart this machine. And right now I restarted this machine. Anything that I do in this lab is not an actual way of installing a domain controller. Domain controller is a totally different topic and a totally different career for the system administration and for other advanced level careers. And for that, you need to really design everything from scratch. And that's why we have Practice Lab for you. In Practice Lab, then you can go to the Microsoft environment, and then here you have a full certification based on Microsoft certification, which you want to become a system admin. Then you want to take this lab because it will teach you step by step about domain. It will explain things to you, all of that stuff. Again, this is a help desk environment, so we will have to create a very easy way to create a domain environment. So here again, we're going to do all control delete. And the information that I'm giving in this video is for our members. So people, I know some people get bored with a lot of talking, but it's very important for our members. I appreciate people bearing that with me. So now the server is on. We renamed it. This is a new feature from a server 2019. I'm going to just disable that or just close it for now. And at this point, we renamed this server, right? What we want to do right now is simply go to manage, add roles and features. We are going to click next. We're going to click next, next, and then here we are going to click on Active Directory Domain Services. Okay, Active Directory Domain Services. You'll click on that and install the feature. We'll click next. Just click next, next, and install. And right now we will just wait for this installation to finish, and we'll move on to the next step after this when this is done. So again, just to go back, some other talking about the features that we give you in the lab. Like for example, if you're doing this lab, I'm going to minimize this, just make it a little smaller. So all these labs come with a pre-built snapshot. So when we give you these labs, all of these virtual machines have a reset snapshot. So if you go to restore this snapshot, this is going to just blow away the whole setup that we have done right now, and it's just going to go back to day one. My recommendation for our members is that if you are worried about losing data, then you can keep taking snapshots as long as you have the ability. So you should take a snapshot, and I'll show you that in a second when I make this a domain controller, and at the end we will just remove everything in one click. So that just to show you how easy it is for you to do these labs and how less of a work it is now when you're working in a lab environment like this. So we're almost done with this installation, and we're going to do another one step. While this is happening, let's jump into the desktop, the client. So you can call it a staff, you can call it a help desk machine, and in our course we are going to show you all of that step by step. So we're going to click on Windows 10.1, and again, we have already done that for you. When you turn it on, you're going to see that installation is done, or you could create your own from scratch. I feel like it will make no sense for you to start doing it from scratch if you already have this. So I'm just gonna skip this stuff, and now Windows 10 usually it takes a little more time than in server, because servers are kind of made for, you know, two services. You want to get to things quickly, while Windows 10 is designed for users, and they will ask you so many questions to make sure you have a good experience. I'm just gonna accept that. Lab environment, don't worry about things here, so just go here. I'm going to see if our domain controller is yes. So you can see how fast it is. The domain controller is promoted. We just need to promote it now. You need to do this step to make this a domain controller. You're going to promote it. Then you will click on add new forest. In the add new forest, you want to just name it something. So if you want to name it, like, let's say server.one.jobskillshare.org. Make sure you name it something unique, so that if somebody else picks the same name, you won't have issues. You won't have any issues because, you know, your network environment is different than other people, but just in case. So now we call it server1.jobskillshare.org, and then here you are going to give the password. So we did the password here. We're going to click next, and there's no DNS. We're just going to click next here. We don't need it for lab environment, but in real environment, you're going to need all this. Okay, so you can keep this server one. I'm just going to click next. So at this point, we're almost done. We're going to click next, and now it is just going to do some checkup. It's going to give you some warnings, which we don't care at this point. And then you'll click on install. So now let's go back to our client desktop. While this is happening, this is going to restart on its own. Everything will be done. Here you need to make sure you click on domain join instead, because we're not using an online account, and we're just going to call it admin, and we're just going to click, oh, admin is a different username. We need a different username, so I'm just going to call it bcon, and I'm not going to use any password for now. I'm just going to log in. You can put the password if you want to, but we will join this to the domain environment. I'm just going to decline this because we don't need this in the lab environment. All this stuff, I'm just going to just keep declining it. And the last one, I'm going to accept this one just to make sure I don't have any issues. And there you go. You are basically getting into the desktop environment right now. It's getting things ready for you while our server is also installing in the background. Now remember, you're in the same lab and you're doing multiple tasks and you still have no lag. That just tells you and shows you how good these labs are. And you can come here and see your CPU is right here, but you can even turn 2 more. You will see a little bit difference, but not noticeable. So that's how cool these labs are for people in 2019. People are going to be really happy about these labs. So DC is turning on right now. Our domain controller is getting started while we wait for our client machine, which is a normal process for Windows 10. It is always like that. You just have to wait for it. So I'll pause my video for now and show you what's next. Okay, so now we're back, and this process may take a little time because the server has to install all the services for the domain controller. So it may spin for a little while, but then it will come back up, and your Windows machine should be up very quickly after the initial setup. And now the first thing I want to do is to change the name for this window also. So I'm going to right click here, go to System, because it will also have this generic name in there when you start it for the first time. See right here, desktop, blah blah blah. I'm just going to rename it. But if you're doing this from scratch, remember you have to go to the firewall and do the exact same thing and enable your remote desktop connection inside if you have done the installation from scratch and not using our snapshot. So I'm going to click on, I'm just going to call it staff, and let's say this staff is just you, or you want to add this to the domain controller environment. I'm just going to start this machine, let this run, and now this is our DC. On the top you see DC right there. Now I'm going to go into All Control Delete, and remember I'm using a very slow Wi-Fi. I'm using a 20 by 20, which is, I'm sure you will have a very faster internet than what I have right now, and this is for a reason that I did it just to show that it's working even with a slower Wi-Fi. Everything works pretty nice. So now I'm going to log into this server with the password that I set in the beginning and as an admin, and now I need to add some people into this domain controller for me to be able to add other machines. I could use that same account, but it's always recommended to just use another account, and just to show you if it's working or not. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to go to Tools, and I want to see if I have Active Directory. There you go. You have Active Directory users and computers after it became a domain controller. So you can see if you open it, and this is where you could probably go back to our Active Directory course, and you have 30 days to really like mess around with Active Directory. This would be a perfect environment for you to just play around with all the things that you have learned in the Active Directory course and just get this Active Directory out of your checklist, you know. So you can come here and then right click on it and create a new account. I'm going to click on new, and you can see everything is the same even in 2019 server. Nothing for you to learn, like, you know, that would be more of like, oh, in 2019 I gotta do something different. First, you are not gonna see 2019 now, because 2016 is just people are implementing it, and it's just gonna take time, you know, and it's all same. And for you, the main thing is to learn how these things are working, how to set up your domain environment, so you can play around with other things in your desktop machine, so you can learn skills. Okay, so I'm gonna call this help desk. I'm just going to leave that help desk, and here I'm going to call it help desk. So I did a help desk. Help desk is a username. I'm going to click on next, and here I'm going to give it the password. Probably this will either take it or not. Let's see. Yeah, it took it. So now this user is created in the Active Directory, and of course for you to learn Active Directory, make sure you go back to the jobscashare.org if you want to learn this stuff that I'm doing right now. This is not a part of this video, that's why I don't want to go into it, but I want to give information out. So go to jobscashare.org and take this course, and this course will have all of the skills that you need to learn then about this that I'm doing. So I'm just going to quickly, really fast go into this to make sure our domain controller is working. I'm going to make this a domain admin. So I'm going to go to member of, go to add, and here I'm going to type domain admin and click add, and I'm going to click apply and click OK. Now this becomes an admin of this domain environment. So this machine will be on all the time for you to make sure that other machines are working correctly and you can add them. Now the important piece in the lab is to make sure you add the IP address of this domain controller in your client machine, or else it's not going to work. Remember, you're in a lab environment, so DNS was not set up. The DNS is getting from the router, so that's not going to work if you don't add this. So in the domain computer, you're going to do ipconfig and you will capture this IP address. You're going to need that, and you're going to go to your client machine, go to the network settings, open the network and settings, and then you're going to click on change connection properties. Actually, no. I always get confused with this stuff now because it's new stuff for me also. Change adapter options. When you go back, just click on change adapter option. And now you need to get to the adapter. Click on properties. And then you're going to click on TCP IPv4. Go to properties. And this is what I'm talking about. You need to add this IP address into the DNS of that client machine that you want to add. So 192.168.2.122. And I'm just going to add a Google DNS just for fun, add 888, and we have the 2.22 added, and I'm going to click OK. Done. So once I do this, then I need to add this machine to the domain controller that we have. So to do that, you need to go to your search and just type work. When you type work, you're going to see change work group name. You could probably do the same thing, or there's other ways you can get to the domain controller and that setup, but I would say this is the easiest one in the new settings, because some of the windows you will not see this, so you have to type something like access work or school. You click on that and then you move on to that settings. But here, if you click on change work group name in this lab environment, you're going to see this, and now you can click on change. In the change, you see this is on work group, and again, this is explained in that course. I'm not going to explain this. So to add this to the domain, you just need to type that server 1. Remember that server 1 was actually coming from our Active Directory, or you could just type the whole thing, server 1, or the, jobscoshare.org. I'm not sure if in a domain environment it works, but it works like that. Or you can just do server 1. And now you need to do is that similarly, you gotta do that server 1 / because that is your domain initials. You go to that domain environment. You could either type the whole thing, or you can just type /jobscoshare.org, and then you're gonna click that. You're gonna use that help desk account that you have added, and this will tell you that if it's not working, then this account shouldn't work. It will not add this machine to that domain environment. And you can see right now, by doing that, I was actually on a total different machine. Just by adding that DNS, I was able to talk to the domain controller, and I was able to add this machine, and now we have this machine under our control in the domain environment. This can get restarted, and after that I can go back to my server manager. I can open the start, go to server manager, and if I click on the tools again, and that machine is getting started, but if I go to tools again, go to users and account, and I go to computer, there you go. Again, after this, you're going to learn all of this stuff in our course. We're going to teach you so many different things, but this was the first step that need for any labs for you to be able to work in a corporate or a work environment, because a lot of people use Active Directory. Very few people will be using just basic without Active Directory management. But still, even if you don't have the Active Directory, the things that we will teach you will still help you even in a non-Active Directory environment. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something from this. If you like it, please thumbs up, give me the comments, let us know what you think about these labs, and see you again.